It seems like every day there's bad news that's reported from Disney. This one is coming from Forbes. So, four flops of 2023 that cost Disney $1 billion. All right, so going down into the article, Disney has revealed that it spent $965 million on four of its most high-profile streaming and film flops this year. So not quite a billion, just 35 million off, but I think for all intents and purposes, it's okay to say it's a billion. Disney has been on a cost-cut drive since its chief executive Bob Iger returned to the helm of the company in November last year. 3 months later, he told investors that studios need to reduce costs on everything that we make because while we're extremely proud of what's on screen, I really doubt that. It's gotten to the point where it's extraordinarily expensive, and I've also harped on this before time and time again, not just for Disney, but just for studios in general that think they have to spend $200 million plus on every movie that they produce. You don't need to make everything a giant blockbuster. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a low budget movie. I mean, a 20, 30, $40 million movie. I mean, we have Talk to Me that's out in theaters right now, and that was spent less than $5 million to make that, and it made over that on its opening weekend alone. I mean, if Disney was to spend little money on something, just having the Disney name will probably guarantee at least $50 million. I mean, you make a $20 million movie and you're pretty much guaranteed to turn a profit on it. I mean, yeah, just make 10 of those instead of one of these $200 million movies. And it might take a little creativity or whatever, but that's something that they used to have. Maybe you should start hiring people right now. I mean, it seems like you have a lot of openings with all your other writers on strike, but I digress. Let's continue on in this. Budgets of movie and streaming shows are usually confidential as studios combine the cost of them in their overall expenses and don't itemize how much they spent on each one. All right. As we have reported extensively, productions made in the UK are an exception. Studios have to set up separate companies to make each one and get a cash reimbursement of up to 25% of the money they spend in the UK. All right, each company has to file financial statements and they shine a spotlight on the spending. So this is what the article is ultimately talking about. It's not just saying they've only had four flops this year that cost $1 billion. It's talking about just the four movies that were shot in the UK because those are the ones that they actually know about. All honesty, a lot of their other movies like Lightyear, Elemental, The Haunted Mansion, which is currently in theaters, those are all flops as well. I mean, Haunted Mansion, it still remains to be seen, but it's pretty much going to be a flop. I mean, that's almost a guarantee with how much they spent on it, or at least how much is being reported to have spent on it. And the ones that it's actually talking about in this article specifically are Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Little Mermaid, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and Secret Invasion, since all these were largely shot in the UK. So we actually have more of a breakdown on them. And that's how they got the number of 965 million that they spent on them. Now, is that just 965 million loss? No, that's just what they spent on things that ended up being flops. That's something separate than this article that talks about how much they actually lost. And this was from last June. And a lot of this is a little bit of speculation. So you do have to take it with a pinch of salt. But at the same time, it is pretty reliable on the way they go about doing it, or at least the way they go about calculating it is pretty good, where they figure out like how much these movies were reported to have earned at the box office, how much do those areas take as a percentage of it, how much is the reported budget and reported marketing and other things like that. So this is a pretty good estimate. And this was also before we have the aforementioned Haunted Mansion, which is currently in theaters at bombing. And this is before Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which is one of the biggest, if not biggest, box office bomb in Disney history. So in all likelihood, this $900 million that they actually lost could be actually quite a bit higher. I mean, I'm thinking it's probably topped $1 billion right now. And that's why we're getting things like this where Bob Iger is actually wanting to cut spending. But fortunately for them, they're not producing anything right now because everyone's on strike. And in all honesty, that's actually helping them right now. We don't know exactly what the figures are for Disney, but we got the earnings call from Warner Brothers Discovery, and I imagine it's kind of similar because the fact that they're actually not producing anything right now, they've been able to get over or save over $100 million in this last quarter. Actually, here's the article right here. Yeah, so I talked about it this morning where, David Zaslav actually reported that they they saved over $100 million because they're not producing anything during the strike. So I imagine it's a similar thing for Disney. And one of the key points that David Zaslav actually points out is actually at the bottom of the article when he talks about the licensing for all the stuff that they have, because they have their own streaming services and things like that. So it can carry them through that. And I imagine Disney is probably thinking of that, except for the fact that they're actually not carrying subscribers onto their Disney Plus platform. So they have all this back catalog of content like Warner Brothers Discovery has, but they actually don't have anyone who wants to watch it apparently, or at least not pay for their streaming services to watch it. So right now you got Disney, they're saving money by not producing anything right now, which is good for them. But no one, but I mean, that's not going to last, because I mean, just saving money is not the same thing as making money, and they're not making money on their subscribers. They're losing money on the theme parks, or even losing money on their cruise line. So everything is just pretty much going bad for them. And that's why we're also hearing these rumors about Bob Iger looking to sell parts of the company just to pay off their debts. But that's for another video. But let me know what you think about all this in the comment section. And if you like the video, make sure you click the like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with the latest news. Thank you.